And this one actually has a little bit of a weight shift, as you might notice. So normally, when you're doing Datura style hip work on the up, there is no weight shift at all. You're just bringing hips up like this. But with prepping for Taksim, you're gonna actually go into the foot. So you'll notice my right hip is going up and I'm going onto the right foot. And when my left hip comes up, I'm going on the left foot, right? So this is weight on the right, right hip up, weight on the left, left hip up. And something else awesome and unusual about Taksim is your ribs are gonna float in opposition just a little bit. Well, it'll be opposition when we get to where we're going. Right now, it's the same side. So you'll notice when my right hip comes up, I float a little bit over. Don't try to make that happen, just know that it's okay if it happens. Okay, so here's what's weird about Taksim. And awesome. You're gonna bring your weight to the left, but the focus is gonna be on the right hip, which is what we call an empty hip. So you go to the left, your weight is here, then you're gonna use your obliques to bring the hip up, and then once the hip is almost up, you shift your weight over there. Now the focus is here. You're still going up, 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 but the focus and energy is on the empty hip. Watch that again if you need to. We're gonna keep going. So we're gonna drop the right hip and then bring it up, weight on the right, drop the left. Weight comes up on the left. So weight on the left foot, drop right, and switch. And switch. So you'll also notice quality-wise, boom, there's a big energy shift when you drop and empty that hip. So you're gonna drop the left hip, bring it up, drop the right hip, bring it up. So when I was first learning Taksim, I was absolutely in love with this little empty scoop that happens, and I couldn't figure out how to get it. And so I really worked on bringing my hip more out to the side to try to get it. It's actually not a side to side. So just think about emptying all of the energy and then bringing it up, and you're gonna get that scoop. Down, and then bring it up. It goes out to the side a little on its own, down. And up, weight on the right, as you drop the other hip. And release. Up. So I'm gonna drill this for a good little while here because it takes a minute to wrap your head around. So you're not gonna see anything in the feet really. I mean, especially at the moment with my pants. But even if you could see my feet, there's not much of a switch. Your heels stay on the ground. And up, and release. And up. So the right leg is gonna come almost to straight and then release. And then almost to straight on the left and weight to the left. Up, weight to the right. And up. So if thinking about the empty hip makes you feel all cross-eyed, then just watch the full hip. So you're gonna bring the right hip up and then switch the weight and bring the left hip up. A few more and release and up. Okay, so once this starts to happen in the hip, you can really let your ribs go and up and drop and up. And you can see this side to side opposition to the hip that's coming up. Drop and up. And this will just happen over time. Okay, so fast forward 10 days or 10 months, or in my case, 10 years. That it felt like it took to get this. And you can add arms to this. And if you're doing improvisation with other dancers, your arms are gonna hold all of the information to the dancers that are dancing with you improvisationally, because if you were on stage with your friends staring at your hip, that would be a little obvious. So in this style, inspired by ATS, we use the arms to cue what's happening. So what's gonna happen here is that your elbow is gonna do the same thing that your hip is doing to tell the people that you're working with what your hips are doing. And you can imagine that there's a string from your elbow to your hip, and that your elbow is dropping your hip and then bringing it up. Like your hips are a puppet and your elbows are the puppet master. Down, up, down, up, down, up. So when you're doing this, if you're new to this, it's very, very normal for your arms to get tired real fast. You aren't the only one. It's not just your arms. So I actually love working with weights. That helps quite a bit. Another thing is make sure that when you're bringing your elbow up that you don't feel anything remotely resembling discomfort in the shoulders. So if you do, just bring your arms down a little bit. Basically, bringing the elbows up is internal rotation in the upper arm, and sometimes the shoulder doesn't love internal rotation, and everyone's arm bones are fitting a little bit differently into the socket. So make sure you're comfortable. Some people can bring the elbows way up, other people don't bring them up. And I say this with a good dose of personal experience. I injured my shoulder trying to look like someone that had a lot more range of motion than I do. So just go with what's comfortable for you. And then you can make taksim arrhythmic. Add little level changes for drama if you like. And taksim can go forward or back. You can also just walk in place and go corner to switch sides. In this case, your arms are going to move just a little bit, so you always stay towards the audience a tiny bit. So instead of taking your arms with you, you would leave your arms there a little while you're taksiming to the side. So let's just keep drilling this a little. So I'm going to throw some different timings at you, just to get you in the habit right away of staying connected to the leader. So if you've been doing this with me the whole time, isn't it amazing how such a small, intense internal movement, how warm it will get you? There's a lot happening here. Okay. Whew. All right, so that is taksim. And little note, taksim means solo musical interpretation, usually by a single musician, a single instrument. But taksim goes really, really well. This movement goes beautifully with a musical taksim, which is how it got that nickname. It's also known as figure eight down to